just get Fathom in so I can take some notes. Maybe. Come on. Okay. We'll use the AI companion then. So I will share. I was going through some training from some guys that are doing well with what they're doing, and one thing jumped out at me that it, like, after I thought about it for a while, I was like, actually that makes sense, but it wasn't immediately obvious. So in direct response copywriting or affiliate marketing, there's this metric which is called earnings per click. And EPC, earnings per click, is basically if you take the number of, like, say, outbound clicks you get, and then you just divide it by, the revenue. It's not a particularly difficult calculation, but what you can do is you can create a custom metric inside Meta to record that. And to do that, you just go to your columns. As you can see, I've got custom columns out the wazoo. And then you can go create custom metric, and you just take your revenue and divide it by the number of clicks. I would suggest using outbound clicks because those are actually likely to hit your website, and you will normally have a close correlation between the number of outbound clicks and the number of visitors. If you use all clicks or link clicks, that can be clicks to your profile, that can be clicks on the post. So it's not necessarily accurate for the number of visitors. There will be drop off, but hopefully there's not a huge, like, if you see 1,000 outbound link clicks in a day, you should see like 800-900 visitors, basically. Like there should be a very close, maybe 20% difference because of drop off, but shouldn't be that big of a deal. So if we look at here, timing. I have a thing that pops up every 20 minutes that tells me to look away to protect my eyes. That's what you're seeing right now. So it stays up for 6 seconds. I got to look 6 feet, no, 20 feet, 6 meters away. So the reason I'm talking about earnings per click is it lets you, it gives you a different way of looking at the stats, because a lot of people focus exclusively on ROAS and cost per sale. So here's the 28th in the US, right? $217 in spend, no sales. Not a good picture, right? This is not what anyone wants to see. If we go to the Friday, we can see we spent more, and all of these are looking in a better position. Now, one thing that we found with this particular account in particular is that a EPC above about $2.50 is manageable. Like it's healthy, and above $3 is pretty much like we're in happy territory. So right away, we can see off the bat, the next day, things started to come right. They started to come back. But we can dive in and we can go like, okay, well, what actually happened here? Well, we can see one ad that did not get, that had a ridiculous ROAS and a ridiculous EPC, and another ad had a lot of, like, it was very expensive. Well, what's going on there? If we look at the amount spent, we can see Meta favored this ad, right? And so that's why this ad's now switched off, because for some reason it's been favored, even though if we look at a larger time period, I don't like looking at just one day. I like looking at least 3 days. If we look at a longer time period, it's seriously underperforming. So I switched it off. And this is sort of how I tend to think about things. Okay, what's happening today? Sure, let's look at that over the last 3 days inclusive, and let's look at that over the last week so we can make an informed decision that's not based just on one day's performance. And being able to quickly see what's the actual financial return I'm getting on clicks on this ad is super useful, because you can go and you can see like, oh, let's have a look at like let's look at the retargeting campaign, for example. We only have one ad in here, but we're looking at about $2, right? Well, we know that that's somewhat cost effective. So long as that stays around the $2 mark, we're going to be doing pretty well. And what's interesting is the ROAS is actually 2.8x, but the EPC is less. So this is spending less, it's getting a higher ROAS, but the actual financial return is sitting around the $2 per click mark. We have halved the budget on this, or maybe even dropped it down to a third of what it was probably about 2 weeks ago now, because the frequency was starting to go through the roof. We weren't getting enough traffic to the site, so we had to pull back the spend on this. But this shows that you can have a high ROAS, but your earnings are actually not as good as they might look on paper. So it's another way to start going like, okay, I'm getting sales and this is a good thing, but my cost for the traffic is high. Okay, is it good quality traffic? How do you tell? Earning per click can tell you that. If you go and you set that up and you go over the last week and you have a look at your ads, you'll see there are certain ads that have a high EPC. The ROAS may or may not be high, but what that means is the people who are clicking on those particular ads, they have high purchase intent, because you're getting good revenue for the number of clicks you're getting. And really, that's a metric that's valuable in and of itself outside of ROAS, right? Like, it's not the same thing. It's related, they're intertwined, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah, that sounds like a key sort of learning is that you're getting the dimension of information is people with high purchase intent, and I think that's a pretty valuable
I
metric
will
too.
happily pay $100, $120 to book a qualified call with someone who is that they're qualified, right? Like, let me just stop the stuff now.